ANZ Stadium has provided its own level of controversy so far. The Swans have a buffer, but no one will believe that it's comfortable just yet. Tomorrow night on Fox Footy, live from the Royal Exhibition Building in Melbourne, AFL 360 with Bomber Thompson and Leon Cameron, followed by the All-Australian Awards, the unveiling of the Team of the Year, and then On the Couch sits to recount some of what has taken place. They're the best with the comebacks, the Blues, the last 2 weeks. They've pegged back 39 points and 32 points, so they're only 22 points adrift. There's not a Blues fan in the country who won't believe that this is possible. Are you prepared to believe, though? Can they run the Swans down in Sydney? Jace, what do you reckon?
I'm going to say no. I think Sydney thrive on adversity and challenge. I think they'll dig in and I think they'll maintain the lead.
It's the most professional team they're coming up against, but great coaches can do two things. Coach tactically and spiritually for the motivation. Tactically, the opposition will see it unfold within 2 to 3 minutes. Motivationally, I reckon Mick can get them to believe they can run them down.
We'll know in 10 minutes, Jared. Let me tell you, the first 10 minutes will give us a good indication. It happened last night in the first 10 minutes, happened last week in the first 10 minutes. You'll know, 10 minutes' time, what's going to happen with the Blues.
Kingy, Brad, what do you reckon? Can they do it again, the Blues?
Well, I think John Longmire will believe they can do it. And I think if Carlton can clean up their ball use, make Sydney defend, absolutely they can do it.
They'll gamble, Jared. They'll either lose by 12 goals or they'll come back and win. It'll be one way or the other.
They are gamblers in this scenario. The shackles are off. Can the Blues run down the Swans? The Dockers will be watching this. The Brains Trust won't mind what they've seen so far. It's taken a toll and it might take a greater toll still. The right's on offer here to travel to Perth and face Fremantle in a preliminary final. The Swans are trying to keep the premiership defence alive and Carlton trying to extend the most unlikely story already. The wounded on the Swans bench tells a story of its own. Jared McVeigh, what a match so far, 25. How far can he push it? How much support will he get? Can the uncontested possession differential be wound in by the Blues?
Daigan as a run with.
Into the second half we go. It's Sydney by 22 points.
Individual corner in a final. He's now got Daigan for
start this half with Sydney leading by 22 points. The lead that is really nothing in modern footy. Bird's kick was smothered around the corner, but plenty of players following it up. Mumford's handball, a little firm for Hanbury. Able to recover the footy to White. White also spinning a ball around the corner. Good looking kick inside 50. Pike hasn't looked like it here tonight. Handball to Yaron. Yaron to Simpson and now Walker. Wanted to switch the play, but there was no one on. And that's dangerous because it's gone to that matchup. Daigan and McVeigh. Betts trying to take him on. Surely didn't have the footy in the end. Now Yaron. Little bit of striker action. Grundy meets the footy for Sydney. So they do it well, Sydney. Biggs.
Yaron takes the mark there at half-back, but the first two contests that have spilled out in the wing, there's been a very similar pattern to what we saw in the first half. It was Hanbury running harder out, McVeigh getting out into space, and that hard-running midfield getting on top.
Casbolt goes down the line with a pretty ordinary kick.
And that's the other thing. They're not using the footy as well as the Sydney Swans. You turn it over and then you spread the other way. Look at McVeigh. He's on in the middle there.
Goes down the line again. Look, Pike's got 3 to beat in the air and 1 on the deck. And guess what? Somehow Sydney won with Parker. It's a throw.
We spoke a lot in that first half about the injuries that Sydney have got, and the rotations are already starting to have it's starting to have an impact on the rotations. Sorry, in that second quarter, Sydney 28 rotations onto the interchange bench to Carlton's 38. So that'll be the trend for the rest of the game. Sydney Swans are going to have to do a lot more work out in the ground. So if Carlton can stay in touch, they'll certainly come home strong at the end of this game.
Henderson to Judd.
They've done that really well, the Swans. The Blues have switched the footy to try and create something out the other side, but they've been able to shut that exit off and force the Blues to go long down the line, get it out of bounds, and then get the neutral situation again.
Here's Daigan in the McVeigh matchup. Jack with a sneaky handball to McVeigh. On the Bolton. Forward to the wing here, Bolton. Sends it inside 50. The big men are there. Pike and White. Henderson with the fist.
Saw Scotland before, really going off his brain about the inside kick that could have come his way before, and they're just a bit conservative at the moment, Carlton. They're kicking long down the line. They don't want to take responsibility to make a mistake. Well, Like 22 points is a lot, BT, but you still got to take some risks.
Yeah. Gee, Kieran Jack was sensational the way he got through traffic there. Really was. Very, very impressive from the stoppage. Simpson's got to go. Pike was there as well. Unlucky not to get a free over the shoulder there, Pike. Soccer out of mid-air by McInnes. Mumford is there, couldn't win the footy in the air. Now he's got to get it at ground level, and he's making a pretty good job of that. Well done, big fella. Got it to Jack. Now on to Parker. Murphy there. Equal to the challenge and happy to see it over the line. You wouldn't think that Carlton could concede 2 or 3 goals in this quarter without scoring one, or it would be very difficult.
Against you.
And Carlton free here, so everyone's confused. Players running in the wrong direction. Gee,
she wasn't much in it. What's there?
Well, it could have been paid to Mike Pike. Now Walker, right of the wing. Richards, Casbolt. Needs to hang on to a few. Casbolt. Kennedy heard it out wide. It was a really good handball. The kick wasn't so good. Soccer off the ground by Walker. The Blues under enormous pressure here at the moment because Sydney are really pressing. Well done, Robinson. Then Casbolt went straight back into the traffic. Picked up by Smith. High ball into the Sydney forward 50. Up they fly, no winner in the air. Ball off the deck. Pushed out of the way there, McInnes. Jamison in amongst it. O'Keefe's there. Quick kick out of the pack. Not 15, said the umpire. Spills. Cunningham soccer misses.
One thing the Swans big guys have done inside 50, they haven't taken a lot of marks, but they've brought the ball to ground, and the Carlton defenders haven't been able to intercept Mark Henderson and set the Blues up the other way. They're forcing it to ground level and then winning the hard ball at ground level.
Smith descended back inside. This time Dygan is there. We'll need to get rid of this. Ball pin stolen out the back door there by Yaron. He can run. They tell him to keep going. He does. He needs support. He might need a bit of an escort as well. Have a look at him think his way through traffic here. Oh, it's like a yo-yo, the footy. Yaron now. Long ball. Blues fall over at a crucial time. Now the front and centre for Armfield. Look at Sydney arrive on mass numbers. Grundy to Melcheski. They are so good at that.
And they've got another issue in their forwards. Jared Wade fell over there and just had to stand up. They only had 4 possessions. Casbolt's coming to the side and hasn't touched it either, Richo. Haven't got a big forward who looks likely.
And Wade actually worked really hard to give Yaron something to kick to. He had the advantage position and just fell over. So I don't know if the players have had a look at their boots at half-time.
Gee, 2 Carlton players falling over on that side. Casbolt is in a bit of trouble as well in the hands of the trainers over there as Judd fights for the ball. He wants some troops. You can see Casbolt bottom right. Looks to have recovered somewhat. Quick handball by Kennedy was absolute lightning. Sydney at their best with that sort of handball. Bird, high footy. Bolton arrives. Big crunching pack. Yaron again. Great handball over the top. This time Robinson needs to think his way through. Here's a thinker in Gibbs. Back to Robinson. Robinson needs to be careful. That's a horrible, horrible panic kick from Robinson.
It's a shocker, but the forward structure is just absolutely atrocious at the moment. He didn't have a lead at all.
The last 2 times they've got a nice ball coming through the middle of the ground. There's Teddy Richards' bump on Casbolt.
Let's have a look at that again, Richo.
Boy. Well, that's no different to Franklin and Chapman.
I think we know the precedent with those ones.
Very intriguing.
Don't know if we agree with it, but there's a precedent there.
Bird around the corner. Look at the players slipping over again down there. Opportunity for Cunningham. Handball over the top to Parker. He's got to beat his opposite number of McInnes. Grabs the footy. Great tackle, McInnes. Murphy arrives.
Yeah, so what we're saying, the Carlton forward line, they've lost their structure. Twice they've had players streaming through the middle, and the Swans defenders were the last players in line.
Just get the feeling the Blues know they can't afford to let Sydney kick the next goal here. Fighting really hard to repel.
Carlton have had 29 inside 50. If you take a look at this hit again, and you just see Teddy Richards come through and collect Casbolt.
Almost identical.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? We know that Buddy Franklin missed a week. Maybe Ted Richards will face a similar fate, which is a big price to play in the prelim final.
We've just got to a point where you can't bump players in AFL football now, because he didn't try and hit Casbolt high, but unfortunately he did. And there's just got to the point where you can't run the risk of trying to bump anymore.
Gibbs caught with a footy here. Hanbury extracts, gave it straight to Waite. Murphy. Really good composure for Murphy in a tight situation.
Swans have got a loose back here, so he's got to really think his way through this, Tui.
And he does. He goes wide with the kick, then finds McInnes. Around the corner, that's not a great kick to Garland.
I was about to say before, they've had 29 inside 50s, Carlton, and only 14 possessions inside 50, so it just comes straight back out. They can't win the footy, and they can't get their key players in the right positions in their forward line.
It's hard to remember many stoppages inside their forward 50, Blues.
A kick out of the pack here from Smith. Jamieson with the spoiling fist. Walker keeping the footy in front. He needs some help. Found it in Henderson. Henderson to Tui was impressive. Tui along the line. Kick needs to be really precise, and it is.
3 metres!
Judd just casually walks through the gates, allowing Dygan to come on. Now Murphy's kick is short, finds Bell.
Needs a big man down the line here to present.
That's where he's going, Richo. Waite was the initial target. Had to double back. Waite did well in the end. Worked his way to the front. McVeigh would be happy with that.
Go through, mate, go through.
At least now they can set up for a stoppage inside their 50. Waite did what he had to do. Now they can try and work something from a stoppage.
So nothing's happened on the scoreboard. Swans have added a point. They're 23-point leaders. Bird, the next goal, so important for either side here. Just absolutely crucial. O'Keefe goes down the line. Jamieson is holding on. Pike takes his first mark of the night. Then kicks it into the dangerous spot. The kick wasn't great, but it gives White a chance. Was he interfered with? Geez, recovery was incredible. Got the handball to Jack. Went and got it again, White. O'Keefe says, who wants it? Melcheski. Garland ran past it. Bell did well to Judd in the middle. Little handball to Waite. What does he do? A little pirouette. Good stuff. High footy. Now it's McInnes. One-on-one, but Grundy did well. Double-handed fist. Under enormous pressure, Grundy. And now McVeigh can go. Cunningham to White. White waited for the bounce of the footy. Takes Henderson on. Geez, got some speed. And the kick to Parker was excellent. Gee, White, absolutely fantastic efforts.
He's got some extraordinary athleticism, Jesse White. He just pops in and out of the game a little bit too often. He disappears for too long a period, but when he gets going, just a powerful, powerful unit. And a hard run again to the Swans. They loose inside 50, and that really hurts.
Parker looking for his second goal. Very kickable. Doesn't let his team down. And Sydney by 29.
Well, that's a great goal because they're under siege down back. Grundy forced it to ground level. Everett worked back hard. They got the ball on the rebound and they went the length of the ground. And unbelievably, they outnumbered Carlton inside their forward 52-1, and a great effort by White gets it to Parker, but we're just getting more numbers to the fall of every ball.
Pretty happy with himself, Parker, kicking his second goal, but he should go back to White and say, well done, mate. Really big efforts from the tall forward. Casbolt into the ruck. Must win something out of here, the Blues. They are now down by a game-high 29. And it's danger, danger, danger for the Blues if Sydney to score another.
Well, they've got to spread now from this situation. They've got to get some quick movement going.
And they do that, Richo. Let's not forget over the last few weeks, Carlton have come from 30 down to Richmond in round 21. 39 down to Port in round 23. And last week's final trailed Richmond by 32. And they've got back to win them all. Got to say, they don't look like that at the moment. But things can change, as we saw last night with Geelong's second half. Richards. McVeigh to Bolton. Jude Bolton He's played over 301 of his games with Adam Goods. Not here tonight and not here for the rest of the year. Tui caught in the tackle, stripped of the ball. McVeigh had a little trouble initially, pushes off now. He's playing with great passion, McVeigh. Looses Parker again, looking for goal number 3. Gathers, what does he do? Took him on, got around Yaron and kicks an absolute special.
Goodsy likes it. Very sure in the background. The Swans fans, they're up out of their chairs here. Luke Parker, great goal. Sold a bit of candy to the actual candy man in Yarra. That's what he does to people. He made him look a little slow there on that occasion. Stood around and stood him up. 2 goals in a row to Luke Parker. 3 for the game.
What a great effort by Luke Parker. He's been great tonight, playing as a forward, kicking goals, set a few up as well, and just giving them heaps of movement and life down there.
6 previous finals for Parker before this, and just the 1 goal, and yet tonight he kicks goal number 3. Consecutive goals in the 3rd quarter to stretch the lead to 35 points here now. Richardson, Waite. Off hands, Rampy. 2 Carlton players just ran over the top of the footy there. Grundy, very cool, looking for Richards, did well Robinson. But the Swans equal to the challenge. Once again, they go forward. Here he is again. The miracle man seems to be able to do anything at the moment. Look at him. He's like a jack in the box. Gave it to Bolton. Bolton sends it down to Jeddah. Here's Jeddah. Can he turn Yaron around? Keeps it alive. Can he run onto this? The right foot banana along the ground. Gives Jack a chance for another. 3 straight for Sydney. Jeddah and Jack. J and J.
How good was that to watch? There's a bit of a display here from Sydney at the moment. And you have to respect how hard they work, Richo. That's what it is. Everywhere you go, Jeddah was great. And this is a great sign that he's actually able to be playing another game, getting more ground time. Kieran Jackson, absolute star. He's had an incredible season and just outworked Carlton here tonight.
Yaron slipped over there again, which was crucial. So they're continuing to have problems holding their feet, the Blues. 8 goal kickers for the Swans tonight. Couldn't find the goals against Hawthorn. Suddenly would tip it out of the game. It's just got an unpredictable nature down there in their forward 50. Not saying they wouldn't love to have him, but they've got dangerous options down there. 8 goal kickers out of 11 goals.
So a 41-point lead here now for Sydney. They've blown this one right open. And what have the Blues got? This will now have to be the biggest of all of their comebacks in recent weeks. And they're going to have to do it now. 8 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Sydney have absolutely turned the screws.
Carlton trouble. Yeah. Let's go down to Don. What do you think?
I think it's a cork. He just came into that contest, got really run into heavily up just above the right hip, like a pointer on the outside of the hip. So just hobbling through the interchange, Garland.
Play on, play on.
Sydney have just exploded.
In the last game against Richmond, the final in the 3rd quarter, let's have a look at Jeffy Gala. Oh, that's a massive cork hip. Dot was all over it, the hip pointer, and that'll be very sore. Judd and Gibbs had 19 possessions in the 3rd quarter when they beat Richmond. They've only touched it once between the 2 of them this quarter.
Yaron. Players just can't get any traction on this ground. Even when the other grounds are wet, you can still get some traction. White. Simpson. Mumford caught with the footy. Here's Parker. Betts. They need the boundary line here, the Blues. Kick wide. Grundy's going to send it back.
I think players wear the same boots.
Just received a tweet from Alan Christensen. Not sure if I'm watching the footy or live vision of first-timers at the ice rink, says Alan. And I got to agree with him. Players cannot stand up.
Well, do they change their boots, or do they?
I don't know, Richo, but it
used to be just the old-fashioned screw-ins and mouldeds, but that was a fair while ago now.
Pike out of bounds on the full.
With Alan Christensen, the problem is when you get a rock-hard surface, it's like ice and you've got shifting turf. You can have 10-inch stops on the bottom of your boots and you can't stand up. It's like trying to run on concrete, and I know we can't do anything about it, but it's a massive factor. This wing here we're going down now, players are slipping over every time they try and run.
And that's the wing where the stands were. The other side's all right. I'd go as far as to say this is a disgrace, this oval. Biggs. Betts. Bowell tries to just bore a hole through. And he got caught taking them on.
If we come a bit precious though, BT, fair.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I don't know about that, Richo, because you can handle, the old timers will say to us, those big old muddy grounds, but they were glue pots and you knew what you got. But when you've got something that's rock hard, you can't stand up on it, it just takes away from the game.
Here's Parker again. He's kicked so many, he doesn't want any more. Gives it off to Bolton. This for a 47-point lead. 4 consecutive goals here in the third quarter on offer for Sydney.
This will bring the house down. Jude.
324 games. We ride with Jude Bolton, and that one slipped out to the right.
One thing we know, it's not an excuse for the way the game's unfolded, because Sydney are just outworking, outrunning, and out-possessing Carlton all over the ground. It's just simply...
And out-slipping.
Yeah. Good point.
I want a player to tweet in what sort of boots they wear now. Maybe with a photo of each sort of boot, just for my benefit.
You know they'll be fluorescent too, Richo. There's no such thing as the standard black boots these days.
I'm not sure there's any such thing as a screw in these anymore, Richo. Great mark by Grundy.
Just coming down from jumping. That's okay. Play on.
Little handball to Richards. So you almost just get the feel. Here's Bird bursting. Cunningham an opportunity to kick his second career goal. I just wonder about Carlton, whether they can get back into it from here.
Well, it's going to be tough now. The Port Adelaide game, though, they were in a similar position late in the third.
Yeah, 39 down in that one, Richo, so you're right. Hannanbury. Pike just pushes his opponent out of the way. McVeigh. And Gibbs. McVeigh keeps the eye on the footy, tries to round it up. Tui took him on, got caught with the footy, will need to get rid of it. He does. Flicks out the back. Here's Bolton. Simpson went and got it. He'll have to get rid of it as well. Kennedy and Robinson. Robinson battling hard in there. Quick hands. That was good. Simpson kicks that out of bounds on the full.
The Carlton forward structure just hasn't worked all night now. Obviously, a kick like that's not going to help it, but I think it's time to throw Lockie Henderson up there. He's played well as a forward. Just try a few different things. Make Sydney try and change a few things as well. Just make them have to adjust what they're doing, because at the moment they're playing great footy.
Smith goes deep. Off hands. Bird caught by Betts in the tackle. They lock it in their forward end here, Sydney. And there's a nice pair of wheels going on for Chris Yarran.
Well, there you go. He slipped over on the...
Just changing the boots.
On the Parker goal before, so he's gone for the screw in there.
McVeigh sold some foot candy. Went the right foot banana. And what about that? 48-point lead to Sydney.
Jared McVeigh, he's had some sort of game, hasn't he? 51 disposals already, a couple of goals, and he's just been incredible. 4 tackles, 5 clearances, pretty complete performance, isn't it, from that man on screen there, Jared McVeigh.
You can't play much better than that, can you? It's not even three-quarter time. Now he's getting involved on the scoreboard. How easy do players make this look, BT? The bananas these days. We saw Westhoff last night.
It's become a natural kick for them.
It used to be a fluke in 15, 20 years ago. Now they just do it every game.
Richo just writing us off there, Darcy.
Bristol,
putting us into the fluke category.
I don't know if you ever had a kick from general play, Bristol. Every kick you had from was from a mark, wasn't it?
I don't know. They just went through the goals, Richo, but there's Bolton. I don't know what sort of kicks they were. Kennedy, handball, a little indiscriminate. Tell you what, Bit of an understatement, but the Blues have got to go, and they have to do it now. Simpson, did he have the foot? He was ragdoll. Head might have hit the turf and the tackle as well. Jamison repels. Wobbly old punt. McVeigh there. Dygan tries to make it work. Kept it alive, but only to Sydney's avail. Here's the magnet man, McVeigh. To Grundy, who just strolls down the line. Big Mummy, another tweet here from Brendan Favola. Can't believe they are playing AFL finals at Wet and Wild, says Brendan.
It's all the players and the ex-players who've played out here on this turf. They're the ones that are outraged by it because they know what it's like. Buddy Franklin sent one to you too, Rich. Says barefoot is the way to go, big man.
Well, you couldn't go much worse with bare feet out there.
But in amongst all of that, Sydney have been slipping and sliding their way to a big lead here. 48 points. Cunningham for his second career goal. It is raining goals. 5 in a row for Sydney.
Oh, he's been good, Cunningham. Brought into the team. And he's done his job. 13 disposals. He kicks a nice goal there. Can't ask for much more.
Oh, the fans soaking this one up, Das.
Yeah, they're loving their Sydney Swans here at ANZ Stadium. They've given great value. 10 out of 11 of the last final series the Swans have been involved in. Premiership last year. And a lot of us thought that they were wobbling a little bit coming into the game tonight, and been a pretty emphatic performance.
Walker, Bell started the day as sub. Activated early when Curnow went out of the game.
Well, he's had a big one-on-one win, Teddy Richards, in that battle with Jared Waite tonight. Has kept Jared Waite to just 6 possessions and a goal.
Judd. Bell again. Trying to get something to happen, Bell. Trying to create. Here's Bird. Half back around the corner. High footy to the wing. White, who's been explosive at times here tonight, to Walker. Rampy makes sure that one gets out of bounds and away from Dygan.
Nick Dygan was the fairy tale story last week. Kicked 4 goals. It was a great effort. Eating a Subway before the game, Bristol. Yeah. Came out and played the game of his life. Well,
did he have a Subway tonight?
Probably should have. Only touched it 5 times so far, Nick Dygan.
Holding, Ted Richards. Just drag him down, Jared. Straight back. Come out, Jared. Thank you.
54 points with a minute in the third quarter remaining.
Away, boys.
Swans have made a mockery of having one less rotation tonight on the bench. Smashed Carlton on the outside. They've had nearly 100 more uncontested possessions in 3 quarters. That's huge.
Well, we're 58 seconds away from the finish of this third quarter. I've just checked my stats, Richo. Carlton haven't scored in this quarter.
Yeah.
And the last time in a final they didn't score was way back in a quarter. It was 1959.
Gee, you're good, Brian.
Just had a quick look at it, Richo. They're in their forward 50 here. Can they score? McVeigh just being magnetic tonight. 33 touches for him to 3-quarter time. Hanbury, swift hands. Gee, they're so good with their fast hands. Jenner injected into the game early when Tippett went out in the first quarter. Goes to an open forward line. Cunningham a chance to kick his 3rd goal. Armfield. And was there any pressure there? Cunningham was a good 3 or 4 metres behind.
Just getting a couple of little reminders of why Lewis Jenner was a phenomenal player last year and a big part of the grand final win. He's just starting to get the feel for it again. He'll be better for the run.
Good a cameo, isn't it?
Handball. Bell rips it away. 11 seconds and counting. So I think it's going to be a scoreless quarter here for the Blues. And of course, Sydney have added 5 consecutive goals here. And they lead it by 54. They have shocked Carlton here in this third quarter. Dygan marks, siren sounds. Mick Malthouse in his 20th final series looks a little disheartened as that one hasn't got the journey. And unbelievably, Carlton did not score in that quarter. Sydney have blown this one wide open. They lead it 13-8-86 to Carlton, 4-8-32. First semi got underway. Carlton kicked the first goal. Tippett had the first mark, but hurt himself, and he was subbed out early. Mitchell hurt his ankle. He was taken out of the game as well. It was a war zone. Kennedy in the second quarter gets the first for Sydney. At that stage, they looked very impressive, and then Jeddah, the sub that had been activated, come on and put them up 21 points. Third quarter, it was Parker everywhere. Swans fans got activated. Jeddah found some form and some speed, and it was goal after goal after goal. They kicked 5 goals to Carlton's no score. McVeigh has been unbelievable in this game, and Mick Malthouse not happy at three-quarter time.
54 points is the margin. Super impressive for Sydney Swans here, who have worked unbelievably hard. Their midfield has been outstanding. On the three-quarter time siren, there was a contest in the goal square, and you can see Chris Sharon just sharing a little joke there with Jared McVeigh and having a smile.
What's your take on that, Das, with the, with that sort of...
Not normally a massive fan of that, to be honest with you. I think you just want to show a body language to your supporters that it means so much. You'd rather die than come off the ground without trying your absolute best. Let's get down to ground level. Lingy, what do you think? Is that being a bit harsh?
Oh, it is probably during the game, but I suppose you have little moments like that where something happens and you've got to have a bit of a smile. You've got to enjoy your footy occasionally. As long as next time the ball's in your area, you can test as fiercely as you possibly can. Hey, guys, what I loved about Sydney is when they play this way they have tonight, they are a very, very good football team, as we know. We probably wrote them off a little bit after the second half last week, but you know what? When they play this type of footy, hard, defensive, contested footy, they're a big chance next week to knock off the Dockers.
I was going to say, can they beat Fremantle, do you think, Sydney?
When they play like this, BT, absolutely. They win the ball in a contest. They've got a really good deep midfield. They kick goals. They've got dangerous players. No reason why they can't go to Perth next week and knock them off.
What do you guys think about that, Richo and Das?
Oh, look, it's going to be a big ask because Freo have obviously had that week off. And Sydney have got injury concerns. Look, it'll take a huge effort, but you'd never write off the Sydney Swans. We know that.
Very similar styles of sides, aren't they? Ross Lyon spent a lot of time here at Sydney under Paul Roos and knows these players really well. Tell you what, there'll be some great hard running. There'll be great one-on-one matchups, tackling and defensive pressure. I can't imagine it being a blowout.
Richo with the pickets firmly jammed there, just sitting on them very firmly.
Well, what do you think, BT?
I think Fremantle will beat them, Richo. Yeah. I think they've just lost too many players out of their side, Sydney, now.
They need to find 2 more players potentially to come in tonight. If Mitchell and Tippett are no good.
Don't underestimate the loss of young Tommy Mitchell. He's another absolute gut-running, talented midfielder.
Let's not forget how good Freo are.
Yeah, good point.
Richo?
Yeah, they're very good. Best pressure I've ever seen of a team.
Really? Any team ever?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'll say that. There you are. Is that off the pickets for you?
Yeah, that's better.
Just jumped off the pickets.
There he is, Kirk Tippett, and Mitchell as well. Nick Davis, the former Swan, who magically put them into a prelim final, wasn't it, with that kick? Who won that prelim final?
Against Lingy's Cats.
Yep. Robertson, bit of a fresh airy. Murphy, what can they salvage out of this, the Blues? Here's Waite. Richards had slipped once again. His players are on the side of the oval. Rampy was in amongst it. Little handball out. Grundy. Murphy sideways to Gibbs. What does Gibbs do here? Could have gone inboard to Walker. Went over the top to Garlett. Biggs is there with him. Knocked down Robinson. Right foot snap around the corner. They finally got one. Their first goal since the 21-minute mark of the second quarter.
Nice finish, Mitch Robertson around the corner. Just in the right place at the right time there. Nice finish, though. Still had to bend it back from about 45 metres out.
Well, they get it back to 48 points. Mick Malthouse, never before in 207 quarters of finals footy has he had a side that hasn't scored in a quarter. And he just coached one in the last quarter that never scored. 207 quarters of finals footy, and he has scored in every one of them. And tonight, couldn't get it done here. Murphy.
52 finals, Mick Malthouse. Is that right, Brian?
It'd be about that if you do the maths. You've obviously done them. Yaron, you're the mathematician, Richo, not me. Kick to Casbolt. Straight through the jukes there from Casbolt.
That kick could not have been any more perfect for Levi.
Betts, high footy. Was it touched on the line? I think it's a goal. Sneaky one here.
Umpire's call is a goal. Please check if the ball may have been touched on the line.
This could get it back to 42 points, Richo.
It could. I think the goal umpire, I reckon Chelsea was going to pay a goal then.
Shot on goal.
Gee. What do you think, BT?
Hard to tell from there, Richo.
They're normally pretty inconclusive, these ones.
So this may stay a goal.
Yeah, Chelsea thought it was a goal.
Yeah.
So just wanted a bit of clarification. So we'll go back to Chelsea and it'll be a goal.
Betts was the kicker, I think. This to get it back to 42. I think that's inconclusive. So I think Darcy's right. This will go back to goal umpire Chelsea.
They're pretty impossible to overrule the touched ones, aren't they? Unless you can see a finger or something bent back or the ball changes direction. But did it change its spin there when it hit? I think it did. Look at that.
Umpire's call.
Goal. Back to 42 points.
Well, the last two goals in 2 minutes here for the Blues. Still a 42-point margin, though.
Could they, Richo?
No, I don't think so.
Something special if they kick a handful in a row here.
Johnny Longmire just a touch concerned.
Yeah, I think he's just surveying the scene, Johnny. I don't think he's feeling a heap of pressure just at the moment, but they're pretty keen for his side to finish this in a good note, kick away and build their confidence, because their confidence has taken a bit of a battering in the last month, Sydney.
As indeed, as they go long and deep. 3 on 2 there off hands. White arrives, Simpson there. Stocker off the ground by Pike. Carlton with some numbers around the footy to tidy this one up. Simpson again, who tries to turn Robinson around, but getting in the way was Andreasen. Jetta wanted it on the lead, on the right of screen there, didn't get it, but it opens the space here for O'Keefe to run into. And that'll be a free kick going to his way.
One of the moves I've really liked tonight from Johnny Longmire is Ryan O'Keefe playing more as a permanent forward. He was an All-Australian half-forward. Changed the way that role was played, really, with the best work rate Richo pointed out earlier that we've probably just about ever seen. And I think with Tippett injured, Sam Reid not there, I think if they're going to be Fremantle, they might go a bit more unconventional.
Well, he's got the work rate, so he can present all day long. He's had 23 disposals, taken 5 marks. But that movement creates space for other players, and Parker's been really good up there as well.
Well, not with some good hands there. Well, here go the Blues again. They played 6 minutes in this quarter, and they're lining up for their 3rd goal of the quarter. And Warnock fancies his chances. It comes from right on 50. Won't be a goal. Right to the top of the square. They fly off hands. G. Bell almost ran straight through there with the footy. Richards clearing kick out of defence. Yaron.
Mark Yaron.
Plays on straight away. Yaron gets within 30, misses left. What have you made of Yaron's game tonight, Richo?
Look, he had a few touches off half-back, but look, had no real influence on the game.
Kick back into play. Tui takes the mark. Just reminding you, the winner of this game travels to Perth. I think that game will be next Saturday night. Natsubi, high ball, weight flies over the back. Armfield came through. Did he kick the goal? I think he missed. He had some chances here already, the Blues. Amazing to think they could go goalless in the third quarter when they've come out like this in the final quarter. So it's an even 40 points with 15 minutes on the clock.
Still sort of haven't worked out where Yaron plays his best footy. Is he a forward? Is he a defender?
I think is the answer to that, Richo, he's all of those at various times?
Could well be. I mean, I like his pace running towards goal, but...
Simpson, a little spearing ball inside to Henderson. Murphy wanted it outside Henderson, went long. Here comes Waite, drawn to the footy, jumped early and did it well.
That's one of his great skills, Jared Waite, is he can leap early and then almost hang in the air and hold himself high enough to take the mark. It's a good effort through the defenders out. Starting to win a bit more of the footy, Carlton, it's been a big issue. They've had 9 players with 10 or less disposals. Sydney have only had 3. And that's just too much.
I'm going to put it to you guys. If he kicks this, I'm sensing, Das, I am sensing something. He goes in, whacks it through, they're back to 34, and I'm sensing something.
Okay.
Well, could be a miracle.
Yes.
It's a good finish. I mean, just play with a bit more freedom now. Got nothing to, absolutely no reason not to run forward on a 50-50 ball. You have to. So you take some chances. You play with a bit more freedom in this situation. So Swans just need to be really careful here that they lock it down for a few minutes. If Carlton can get it forward out of this stoppage.
Here's the hang time, BT and Richo, that we were talking about. Look at that early lead. Keeps his hands up. He's had a quiet day, Jared Waite. This is the first team in 15 years to win 2 weeks in a row from 30 points or more down.
Now, I'm sensing
Is there a miracle?
I'm not sure you guys are with me just at the moment. It's 34. If they kick the next one, it'll be 28, Richo. Do the maths for you. I wonder whether you'll follow then and believe. Walker. If they kick the next one here, the Blues, that's a throw. So it'll be a Carlton free.
Well, what happens in this situation is you start running forward before you've even won the ball on 50-50 balls and start finding that blokes get out a little bit more.
Murphy to Armfield, offhand, Simpson there. It'll come back. Henderson will send it very deep. He does. Yaron's got to do it. Not a great kick. McVeigh, they collide mid-air. Now Bird. Just looking a little sluggish, some of the Swans players. They've done a lot of extra work tonight. Here's Gibbs. Judd there to help. Little poking footy. Here's Waite, Richo. If they kick the next one, Richo, it's back to 28.
It is, Brian. This is a tough shot. But
Yeah, he's right on it. Spot on.
Now I'm telling you, Richo.
Just playing with a bit more freedom now, the Blues.
You've got to believe, Das.
Well, we know you do, Bristol.
I'm believing this to get it back in the 20s. Wait, difficult shot as Richo points out. He is a good kick. That looks a little left and will not come back.
Touch of Captain Obvious there. It's a difficult shot, wasn't it?
Yes, Richo.
BT, the other thing that, of course, strengthens your argument is that since quarter time, interchange rotations, we knew they'd be down for Sydney. They've only had 56. Carlton have had 83, so Carlton are going to be a lot fresher because of those injury concerns Sydney had so early in the game. So you never know, the Blues might finish with a lot more run.
Can feel Lingy just jumping on a little now.
Well, it's the first time in this game Carlton have been able to get an advantage in the outside ball.
First time in a game they've kicked consecutive goals, Richo.
Would you be sensing that maybe throw Lockie Henderson down as well, just to
they've put two behind the ball now. You've got Mike Pike and Jared McVeigh behind the footy.
Gibbs did his best. Jack, 2-on-1 here for the Blues. Should have marked it, McInnes. He did with a double grabber.
Well, I think Lockie Henderson just has to go and man one of them up.
Yeah, but now, if you've got a couple of loosies, which Carlton will now have as well, you need to get involved. Just that loose man push forward now.
Gee, McInnes went down unnecessarily the line.
Not smart at all, but you had Gibbs in the middle of the ground, the corridor. You're trying to score. Why do you go long down the line?
Got to go risk. Here it is into White. She's moved athletically tonight, the big fella White.
See, you've got Simpson and Henderson loose.
Play on!
Umpires called play on. Garlett came in from the side, and they've intercepted here, the Blues. Can they make it work? Big Mummy's got it, bangs it on the boot inside 50. Casbolt a little slow to arrive to the footy. Now Henderson through some traffic. He tries to spot up wide. Richards read it better than anyone else. Attack the footy. Here go the Swans.
So it's going to be a tough kick, this, because there's loose players back for Carlton. It's going to go to the top of the square.
Got some numbers back, as you say, Richo. Casbolt, one of those.
See where he put that kick, though?
Yeah.
Put it towards the point post about a metre out. Now they can get a stoppage and set up the loose numbers behind the ball. Waste some time on the clock. There's McVeigh behind the footy. They want to try and lock this in the forward 50 now for a couple of stoppages in a row. Waste a few minutes.
As Dar said, two players behind the footy for Sydney that don't have opponents. Pike knocking the footy forward. Henderson, Das wants to see those guys manned up, making it one-on-ones all over.
Well, Das wants the Carlton players to move forward and man up McVeigh. And
I think so, Richard.
Yeah.
I mean, you get
You've got to go. You have to, though, don't you?
You might get 3 goals kicked on you, but if you just kick another couple, I'm starting to jump on BT's.
But you can't win with two loose behind the footy, can you?
Hey, Zach!
Casbolt's gone and manned up Mumford behind the ball, so that's one worked out.
And Richard, the other thing you've got to do is you've almost got to make them irrelevant by not kicking it back to them. You've got to run and carry, handball, link up through the middle, run the ball the length of the ground as opposed to just kicking back to those numbers. Make that spare defender just end up in no man's land.
Well, Tui's trying to go to McVeigh, but it's just a run around 2-on-1 there with Grundy now.
Pike looking for body contact there, couldn't find it. Touch ball, so the umpire clearly says play on. Jamison avoids the tackler, but he just sends it down the line again. Here's Waite looking for that hang time again. He's got a free here, Waite. So all of a sudden they can move the footy quickly, and here they go inside. That's a poor kick. Now wandered it out in front on that occasion did Yaron. Gibbs kept it rolling forward. Here go the Blues again. Big Mummy's there. Casbolt went in slow motion. Boy, did you see that? It was super slow-mo. Robinson soccer off the ground. How have you seen Casbolt's game tonight, boys?
Struggled a fair bit, Big Levi. Only touched it 7 times. Hasn't been easy being a forward at Carlton tonight, but he just found the pace a little bit hot tonight, Levi.
Walker almost hung on to that. Got a whack on the head at the same time. Jamison swatting the ball to the boundary.
Well, he's played that forward second ruck role and hasn't been able to hit the scoreboard and only taken the 1 mark around the ground, so hasn't had a real influence at all.
Sydney doing well here to just take any run out of Carlton at all. Melcheski hammers the football directly towards the boundary, quite deliberately, but it was beautifully disguised.
They're clever players, the Swans players. They understand the time of the game, they understand what they want to do, and just kicking to touch at the moment. O'Keefe's one in the pocket, that one just slow things down. Another tackle, another stoppage.
McLean named an emergency, found himself playing here tonight. There's Betts, there's that ground. Now there's no reason for him to slip over there, even if it's a wet ground where it's been raining anywhere in Australia. Well, you wouldn't slip over.
It's the weight of the grandstand that they've rolled out. It's compacted the
Look at
ground
this,
down.
no pressure on him.
It's really dangerous.
He can't get any traction at all.
See his ankle turn at right angles. You can.
This ground has been an issue for quite a while and remains an issue, I would have thought.
It is when you whack a heap of stands on it the night before you play a game. It's pretty simple. It doesn't help.
And there's the loose man situation again. So McVeigh as the last man in line there, it's going to be pretty tough to score.
Betts out the back. Gee, Walker screamed for the footy, didn't get it, but he's got it to a one-on-one now. Walker can go and get it, and he does. Kick around the corner's really good. At full stretch was 2. He needed to hold his ground a little. And McVeigh just steadies the ship with a nursing little ball.
With McVeigh there, the only way he can score is by run and carry, running through the 50 and kicking the goal. Or absolute pinpoint passes, which they're probably not going to be able to get. So it's going to be really tough. They've got to get someone on McVeigh. They've got to get one-on-ones down there.
Henderson. Little kick inside. McLean searching, able to run his full journey. Here's Judd in the corridor off hands. The big fella Mumford got the front and centre. Little handball to Ted Richards now. He's looking for a running support behind. Found it in O'Keefe. And ultimately McVeigh. Back to O'Keefe. No panic there. As Rampy marks. Umpire just pointing out that his name's Rampy.
He's up to 36, McVeigh. If he keeps playing this role, he'll end up with 45.
Here's Andreas Everett. Have a look at the couple of bounces down the middle of the ground. He needs some slide factor. Got back and saved the day, Simpson. Can't afford to concede a goal here. The Blues. The Walker. Almost slow motion here at the moment for some of these players who have played without their normal rotations. McLean bundled out of the way. Diagon's got a task here. He did well. Really well.
The first time in a long while in this game, you saw Carlton players getting out to the wings with a bit more space, and they're tiring Sydney. No doubt about it. It's that extra rotation down they've had right from the start of the game, basically. So they're starting to run on a bit stronger here, Carlton.
Here's Gibbs. Still looks like he's running well from 50 out. Didn't go for the goal. Sat it up to the top of the square. Punch through from behind. So 32 points. Doc Larkins, you might just remind us of the injuries here in this game tonight, Doc.
Yeah, well, Kurt Tippett in the first 5 minutes aggravated a right knee problem, a tibia fibula joint, Brian, and he was out. And then Tommy Mitchell's got a really bad ankle injury on the right side on crutches, which is going to cost him a couple of weeks. Ed Kerno with a medial ligament was subbed out for Carlton as well in the second quarter, Brian.
Can any of those guys for Sydney play next week, Doc?
Look, I think Tippett's the only one that would. I think Mitchell won't get up, but we know that Tippett brought in a milder version of the same injury. He's obviously stirred it up. They'll really treat him heavily in the hope that he can play.
Nicely done, Doc, all over that. Giving you the latest news there. Judd's got to beat 3. Mummy's got back. Been better tonight, Mummy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Only touched it 3 times in the final last week, and they've needed more of him today with Tippett out. He's worked a bit harder, and he's got a massive presence on the ground, Mummy. You know when he's around the footy.
18 touches for him tonight.
Yeah.
Lots of contest balls as well.
He's a great follow-up player, Big Mummy, when he's at his best. His second efforts around the ground.
There's the explosive Jenner. Look at the big long foot candy. The bounce. He's looking for some skid off the footy here, but he kicks it out of bounds.
That's a great result for the Sydney Swans. There's the magical 40 coming up.
In a final, Richard.
Following tonight's match.
And got the 20 in a quarter when the match was there to be won. Jared McVeigh.
Looking for number 40 here. Bolton with a pounding tackle.
9. 12, please. Yes, bro.
Just under 6 minutes remaining. Walker, the dash. Little kick to Robinson. Robinson needs help. Found it in Simpson. Knew he had to get rid of it. Bell round the corner. Armfield going in the wrong direction. And time now definitely running out for the Blues.
How much do you reckon the extra break had to do with tonight? It was a Friday night to a Sunday afternoon game. I mean, it has to make a difference.
This time of year, Richo, absolutely. I think, you know, you talk about the difference between 24 hours for players. They're sore, they're tired. And I think the AFL next year, you look at 2 buys for both sides. And it's one of the frustrations that you get so many sore players in finals that you don't often see the best games of the year because they are so tired. So, yeah, I think it made a difference.
Grundy.
He's been a superb player tonight, and Hanbury's had a sensational year. Really bad medial strain that cost him a week as Henderson goes back, and a bit quiet last week on Isaac Smith playing for Hawthorn, but he was the one for me who set the tone with his hard-running Hanbury tonight.
Well, Das, it was him, McVeigh and Ryan O'Keefe who were all down on their usual standards last week. Well, those three have responded massively. The three leading possession winners for the Swans, and they've just been incredible and led the team to the win tonight.
The Swans here have a record of being 5-1 in finals at this venue. And it certainly looks like they're going to make that a 6-1 record here. So very hard to beat in finals up here. Their most recent was Collingwood last year, of course, here. Henderson now at half-back. 32-point margin here. And they're just not going to have enough time to get it back in it. And Sydney, what do you think about playing on a Saturday night in Perth? And I would assume that they're going to have a charter flight to get them back, so they don't waste too much time.
They come back, yeah, would they come straight back or stay over there till Sunday morning or get the red-eye straight back?
I think if they charter a flight, they can come straight back and probably be in bed here by 2 or 3 in the morning.
Which they don't have to, red-eye doesn't leave till like, what, midnight. They could get out of there by 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Waite's taken the mark.
Yes, Jared. That's marked. 15 seconds gone.
So that game in Perth next week is a 7:45 Eastern time. So it will be completed early as Waite comes in and kicks another one. So there you go, back to 26 points.
Well, they've got some respect here in the last quarter. Carlton, after not scoring in a quarter for the first time since 1959, they've come out and kicked 4 in a row. And a little bit of consolation here for the Blues. Get it back to 26 points. Jared Waite's had a tough night, but he's now kicked a couple of goals in a row.
Recently.
Let's go, feed in.
4 goals in a row here for the Blues to finish this game, and having not scored in the third quarter, I think just take something out of this. Haven't turned it up, which is a good thing.
An interesting point for Sydney players is that when they do play in Perth next week, and if they charter that flight home, which I imagine they will, of course they have an issue if they want to come back on that early charter because of the curfew at Sydney Airport. That is going to make it tough. I think you can get special exemptions, but
you're better off staying there the night and doing some recovery in the morning and flying home during the day then, aren't you? Surely.
Yeah. I think that's the size of the plane that they may struggle with.
Just get the flock of friendship home then. Get 4 or 5 of them.
Good job.
5 petrol stops on the way home.
They did that once for a state game, you remember? I think it was a state game. Victoria went to Western Australia and they had to get a tiny little plane to take them over, and they had about 5 petrol stops on the way. By the time they got there, they thought they'd been around the world. Here's Yaron to get it back to 20 points with 2:20 remaining. That's true.
100%.
It was in the 80s, I reckon. Yaron come, it might have been plane strike or something of that nature. I reckon it was. I reckon it was during the pilots dispute about that time.
Yeah, I remember hearing that recently, BT, that same story told. But
Semifinal.
Carlton have kicked all the goals here in the final quarter, and 4 of them in a row, so credit to them. Would have been easy to turn this one into an 80-point thrashing in a final, and that hurts you, so finishing strongly here again.
Maybe even make it a 5th last quarter goal. No, from Murphy.
37,980 fans here at ANZ Stadium.
Disappointing.
A little bit, I think. Yeah, I think
would have hoped for 50 here tonight.
Yeah.
I think they had 20, just over 21, 22 here for the NRL last night for the final with Melbourne Storm and the Rabbitohs. 1:43 remaining in this game. Sydney are going to play Fremantle at Subiaco Oval next Saturday evening, 7:45 Eastern time. That game will be played. The other game, of course, Hawthorn and Geelong, Friday night at the MCG. Down to 4 teams now. And this red and white team We'll get another look at a prelim final. Oh, the accidental back arm from Parker there has done a little bit of damage on the blue on the bottom of this pack. What are you saying about
Jared McVeigh, 41 disposals he's sitting on at the moment. The most ever disposals in a final as a Carlton player down at the moment, as BT just pointed out. That doesn't look great. That might be Jamison, I think, who looks a bit unwell at the moment. Clock ticks down to 1:18 remaining in this game, and let's hope Michael Jamison's okay there.
They've called for the stretcher, boys, so the game will stop now because Carlton have called for the stretcher for Jamison.
Yeah, you can just see, Doc, I'm not sure if you saw the replay, but his neck copped a really bad crunch to the side. Accidental shirt front in the end from Parker, but have a look at Jamison's neck there. Just got really badly wrenched. Doc, what's
whiplash?
What's the worry there?
Well, it's a combination. He actually gets a hit in the head and then he gets a lateral flexion, so it's a lateral sideways whiplash. You can see him talking. His eyes are open and he's communicating with Ben Baresi, the doctor. But they will protect the neck because it did get flexed so violently. Plus, he did get stunned with the original hit, so it'll be the usual.
So, Doc, will they have a look at the video on this one, the doctors, just to see exactly what happened as well?
Oh, look, yeah, in the sense just for research reasons, Brian. I mean, obviously there's no concussion. 20 minutes going to come in here with this, 78 seconds to go. So it'll really just be a matter of getting him off the ground, and the game's already dusted, obviously.
Yeah, Michael Jamison, not a great way for him to finish his season. Just sort of winds down now, and the players group around this, and your thoughts always with the player in this situation. Oh. Pretty nasty hit to the head, wasn't it? Let's see.
Completely accidental.
Yeah.
And then I think they land on him there as well. So Jamison being handled very carefully. We are incredibly blessed in the AFL where we have these medical guys that really know what they're doing. I've seen other sports where they would just get Jamison to stand up after 30 seconds and walk off.
Yeah, this is actually world's best practice, I think, Brian, in all the football codes around the world, because the clubs go through this drill that we see. They practice it at training. Yep. Everyone's got their role to play, and the whole spine's being protected in a straight line, and everything's done in a protocol that really all sports should take notice of this.
Yeah. Just while we're doing this, Darce, Heath Scotland, I see standing out there just to the right of camera there. It's going to be his last game, do you think, for Heath Scotland? Or
it's probably going to be a 50-50 decision, that, isn't it, Heath Scotland? What a player he's been, 263 games.
He's got the best out of himself.
Absolutely has, and I think that's what we want to do. There's his record, career goals, 33 years of age. He's probably getting into that bracket, isn't he, where you think about whether or not you want to go on. And I think players who make the decision, you'd rather leave maybe 10 good games or half a season on the table rather than go on 1 year too long. I think that's it's a real wrestle for players because the passion might still be there and you love it. You think you can, but he's been a good player again this year, Heath Scotland, so he'll have a decision to make. The club will probably make that for him in the end.
There's Mitchell and Tippett, both injured tonight, both out of the game early, and Doc says that, I think, I won't misquote you, Doc, but I think you said Tippett is a chance to play next
I think
week.
He's an outside chance, Brian. I mean, obviously that joint's more sore than it was before the match. He won't do much training. They'll keep it quiet. Sydney, everyone will watch him, so it'll really be a matter of how he trains during the week. But you can see young Mitchell with his ankle. That was much more severe, so you wouldn't normally expect they'd risk him coming back in. And Rowan, who missed tonight, also unlikely to come back in for the Swans.
There's Jared McVeigh, 41 possessions, BT. The most possessions ever on record in a final. Dane Swan with 43. I'm not sure that Jared will be aware of that or enormously care about it, but we'd like to see it. 1:18 left, see if we can get it a couple of times.
Okay, so just reminding those at home that a lot of this is precautionary. A lot of this precautionary.
Yeah, Michael Jamison is awake, he's communicating, he's been moving all arms and legs, Brian, so it's more of a hit to the head rather than the neck that they're concerned about, but obviously just absolute precaution being taken with Michael.
Okay. So he'll be whipped off the over. We'll have 1:18 on the clock to send this one home. And for those that don't know, Sydney will play Fremantle next Saturday night in Perth.
Well, they're going to be great prelims, aren't they? Hawthorn and Geelong on Friday night. what a match-up that'll be. And
got the 4 best teams left.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's remarkable how often it works that way. We've mentioned that before. Since the top 4 final system came in 2000, only 2 teams have gone out in straight sets. Port Adelaide in 2001 and the West Coast Eagles in 2007. And you win enough home and away games, the form generally carries through to the finals. And
the players' DAS on resumption here would have almost cooled down, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's real jump time this last minute and 18, isn't it?
I wouldn't think too many Swans would be getting out of a gallop here after they've cooled down for this last minute.
And they've lost to the 2 players, Kurt Tippett and Tommy Mitchell, that we know about. So they'll be pretty keen just to hear the final siren and start their recovery to go and take on a massive challenge, which is Fremantle at home Saturday night. We spoke to Adam Goods pre-game. We know his season's finished. Sam Reid, highly talented player, has had his season finished up as well.
Goods, I think, did he say he wasn't going to go on the Tour of Ireland as a result?
Thought he just needed that couple of months of genuine rest, Adam Goods, but was confident that he'd be fine to start next year.
This guy's been really good, Parker. Kicked 3 tonight.
Move it on. Play on.
And at one stage in that 3rd quarter, just had an unbeatable patch. Robinson out of fresh air. Down to the last 30 seconds. Rampy went for the left. Carlton on the counter here, but it's just all junk time footy. Grundy. Handball wide to Andreas Everett, and they just concede backwards, but they give White a chance. He couldn't bend down for that one. He's really tightened up. 12 seconds and counting here for Sydney. A little bit of collateral damage done for them tonight. And let's hope that's not a problem, O'Keefe, as well. In the last 10 seconds of this game. Has he done a calf, or is that just a corky? Sydney have won and will play a prelim final against Freo. Tonight. Guess what? The Swans didn't score in the last quarter either, Das. 2 scoreless quarters in this game from 2 teams. Let's get down to Cameron Lee.
Well, Macca, scoreless last quarter, but that's really completely irrelevant. Those first 3 quarters was just a really solid professional performance, and no doubt you guys wanted to bounce back from last week.
Yeah, definitely looked really disappointed after last week, and the first 3 quarters really dug in. A lot of contested, hard tackles, and closing their outlets, which was nice to see, and we did well on the scoreboard as well.
Your game, absolutely sensational. It seemed as though you really gritted your teeth to make sure you had a big game. You were 1 possession shy of the all-time finals record for possession, so pretty impressive performance.
There was a lot of cheap ones at the end there. I was playing loose by the ball for a bit there, so a lot of cheap stats, but we really wanted to hit back. I've had a poor couple of weeks against the Hawks, and nice to get a good win tonight, go to Perth next week.
And even better considering you were 2 down early on, both Tippett and also Tommy Mitchell out, to be able to cope with that and still have a really good win.
Yeah, look, our run's been questioned a fair bit over the last month, but with 2 guys down, and the boys fought out really well, and we've just got to recover now for next week.
Well done, mate. Sensational guys.
Just saw that bit of business.
As history is our guide, the top 4 is the final 4, and the Sydney Swans earn the trip west to face Fremantle in a preliminary final. They led by 6 points at quarter time, by 22 at the half, by 54 at 3/4 time, and they emerge victors by 24 points, ending Carlton's season in the process. This is Finals Footy on Fox. The post-game is brought to you by Tissot. Gut reaction?
Lacked a little bit of class at critical times, the Blues, and I think the Swans were just a little too hard and tough and professional for
The script said they were gettable tonight, Sydney Swans, but the senior players were just too professional.
Home and away season wins again. If you finish in the top 4, you get through. And it's just happened another year again. So top 4 sides get through, and that's it.
It's a fair seeding system, isn't it? The ladder
seems to work.
Yeah.
There's a lot to admire about the Swans by the end of it. Sellers, let's go through it. You lead us off with the opening action.
Yeah, it happened in the first quarter, and both sides come in with great expectations. The first goal was kicked in the forward line. Eddie Betts just pushes his man out of the way, which is Nick Smith, that runs into an easy goal. The young amigos, they start off. All of a sudden the ball goes, Tippett comes off the ground. Lame, limping, I think it was a knee. We're not certain about that. They looked at that. And unfortunately he had a couple of people go with him as well. He's subbed off, and all of a sudden Mitchell goes down. Another injury, and the Swans are starting to look a bit shaky. They start to think, how are we going to rotate? Too many injuries. But then coming towards the end of the first quarter, Jude Bolton pulls a beauty out and just chips it around. What a great player he's been, and we're going to miss him for the Sydney Swans when he retires at the end of this season.
Quarter time, they started replacing some sods in the ground, especially where those stands were pushed out from last night. Sydney, as they do, they kick occupational goals in their forward 50. They keep the ball in there, they hold it in there. They went to a review, and we eventually got a shot off the Harbour Bridge that said we can't make a determination. It's up to Chelsea. She went that way. Lewis Jetta, first time in his life, pushed somebody out of the way, a contested mark, and a goal.
Ted Richards got physical in the third term, laid a solid bump on Levi Casbolt, who went down, maybe looked at. We'll wait and see. Luke Parker, well, he was a star, went around Chris Sharon, kicked his second goal for the third term. Thought he was one of the better players tonight, Luke Parker. He was a beauty. Then it was Kieran Jack, who tried to pick it up, and he thought, don't need to, I'll just kick it off the deck. They were on a roll. And Cunningham kicked another one, which opened up a 54-point lead for the Swans.
So they were well home and on their way to Perth and marking out time, really, in the final term, and it allowed the Blues to save a little bit of face. Jared Waite ended up with 3 goals for the night. He slotted a couple in that final term. If you wanted one moment to sum up the skating rink, that's the one that's going to be replayed all throughout the week as Eddie Betts toppled over there. For the Swans, it's victory, but at what cost? That's what Swans fans will feel at home at the moment. O'Keefe, the last of the walking wounded at the end. They might have been tired, but they get the prize and they get the right to go on and compete in a preliminary final. The Premiership defence is not done with yet. Final score from ANZ Stadium tonight. It was Sydney 13-8-86 over Carlton 8-14-62. Parker had shots at goal all night. He finished up with 3, and Waite had 3 for the losers. Admiring of the Swans? Steeled themselves and got what they needed.
Got the job done in that third term, really opened up the gap, and then I think they just went into a little bit of protective self-preservation mode in the fourth term. Just get behind the footy, slow it down. We've got the game won, let's not do anything fancy.
Such an honest team, aren't they? They're just honest. They won this game again. Won the ball. There were limited stoppages for the night. Very light, for a Swans game, very light on for numbers of stoppages, but they won most of what was up for grabs.
Is this ground good enough to play on? No,
in the 80s, yeah.
No, in the 80s probably fantastic, but not today. Look, I didn't think the game was... the Blues just couldn't get into it. They were way off beam. They weren't as hard as they were last week. They weren't as tough as they were last week. They were one out, waiting for things to come to them easy. They didn't make a contest of it, and I think they'd be ashamed of what they put up tonight, the Blues. But Sydney, I thought they were fantastic.
The Blues lacked run. I mean, they had 100, more than 100 less uncontested possessions.
Yeah, they'd be ashamed of what they put up tonight, and they should be.
The 3 teams that have gone by the wayside already, Port bowed out with honour. The other 2 who've lost, their supporters and the media have come for people within. They're going to come for people at Carlton now?
Certainly. Why should we be not in the same boat? I mean, I think that Mick put a focus out about players being pushed away at the end of the season. Do you think it'll go on? I think it will.
39 tackles for the night for the Blues.
Yeah, it's a horrible night. Horrible night.
Jared McVeigh had 42 disposals, 24 kicks and 18 hand passes. He went at an efficiency rate of 88. His uncontested possession count was 28. And that seemed to sum up the way the Swans were able to tear him up.
Well, you can throw in a couple of goals into the performance. I mean, he was supreme, wasn't he?
He had 25 possessions at half-time, and half of them, well, roughly half, 10 were contested, so 40%. He only had 3 contested possessions after half-time out of another 18. So he played behind the ball predominantly, even in the last quarter, mopped up, and he's such a smart player. He was hard when needed to be, and he was smart when required also.
Yeah, they're a pretty good side, Sydney, but are they going to beat Freo? Are they going to push the Western Australian champs? I'm not so certain.
Well, they led Freo by 27 points in the last quarter at a game earlier in the year. That was round 8 at the SCG and ended up as a draw. So that's the only form reference. But they come through different preparations now.
They're running out of soldiers.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, the Tissot turning point. We sat at half-time. There were still all the questions before us with the margin at 22 points, and that's when the game turned.
It certainly was, and it certainly turned with Parker. I mean, Parker was the one. 10 minutes in, we said we'll know exactly how the Blues are going to be, and all of a sudden they were in a mess. Parker kicked one, and then he got another one straight after, and we knew exactly then the Blues were well out of sync there tonight. They just couldn't keep their feet. You can see there was space everywhere. They run on their own.
This is
Parker
the one they'll
again.
come for.
Yeah, this is the one here. And Yaron misses a tackle, an easy tackle. Should have nailed that, and he didn't do it. All of a sudden, all the heads went down, and it was over.
It was indeed. Let's head to the newsroom because this has ramifications for the remaining couple of weeks. John Ralph, obviously the injury toll for the Swans is the starting point.
It certainly is, Jared, and real question marks about the ability of both Kurt Tippett and Tom Mitchell to come up from those injuries, given the serious nature of them for sure. Now, first, of course, to Kurt Tippett. Now, the fibular bone and crunching into the knee socket there, that saw him leave the ground at the 7-minute mark. He didn't come back on as well. Didn't even try to get back on as well. And the problem for them is, given that he brought this injury into the game that was heavily strapped and had trained well as well. Now, what do? Do they roll the dice and believe that he might get subbed off straight away again? Think that is not going to happen. Now, as well, with the situation with Mitchell, again, a really serious ankle injury there. You wouldn't think that he would get back up. Didn't get back on the ground. So 2 of their prime movers are going to be missing. And the problem is that they haven't got a lot to come back in. Jed Lamb is one of the players. Xavier Jack, another one of those. Brandon Jack, rather. Xavier Richards. They're the kind of players to come back in. Now, that looked quite terrible, but I think it was a corked hamstring there. We're going to have to see how he comes up as well. Hopefully, another one of their superstars in O'Keefe will be able to play, but as I say, not a lot of reinforcements for Sydney if those 3 players miss next week.
Is it a dispiriting toll out of the night?
Well, look, there's going to be some opportunities for some young players for Sydney. I'll tell you right now, if Freo take them lightly, they'll get a shock. Because they'll go over there and they'll be professional. That's one thing we do know from Sydney. They don't know how to be unprofessional.
They'll be honest, Freo, I reckon, will wipe them pretty easy.
They're very professional.
They are. They won't. They'll handle the ground a lot better. Freo will play that ground to assist them. Freo could actually do what they did in round 23. I reckon they could even throw a few subs in there.
Sydney have never had problems at Patterson Stadium.
Oh, they love it.
They played some great games there against West Coast when West Coast were at their peak, and they had a great rivalry there.
It's just that Freo love it more.
Well, they had a lot of run tonight, Sydney, for a team that was down a couple of rotations. They had 100 more possessions, and they still had 20-odd more tackles.
Well,
I mean, that means they've worked hard.
Tell me how they're going to put a forward line together. It's going to be very difficult for them. And they've got Jack and Lamb and Towers. They're all kids to come in. They'll probably play them, and that'd be good. I think it's interesting for them to play. They're not going to go any further.
Ralphie, you've heard Sellers pose the very blunt question about the surface at ANZ. It'll hardly be the last time it's spoken about.
I would imagine that Mick Moldhouse will be furious about it. You saw that Eddie Betts incident there. It was farcical tonight. Now, we understand the reasons, we understand the mitigating circumstances, but there is a solution. Now, the SCG is having its capacity increased to 48,000. Now, the stadium today held 37,000. And the only time when you really need a bigger capacity than that is for Collingwood games. The preliminary final last year was 57. So the AFL should say to Stadium Australia, until you can give us a proper surface, we will play all of our finals at the SCG. Now, of course, we also saw the situation with the score reviews, which, Jared, I think you might have had an opinion on in the past.
But this was just my hobby horse, Ralphie, because the game embarrasses itself with these moments.
It certainly does, and I've been someone who has been really keen for them to try new things, the vision stacking, the Hawkeye. Look, I'd love to tell you that there was some clarity with both of those situations, and Chelsea Roffey did the right thing in reviewing both of those. But we had absolutely no clarity. There was no reason for her to review either of those, given that we didn't have post-to-post cameras, those GoPros, which can cost, what, $500, $1,000. You can use them over and over again. So the AFL, again, has had an embarrassing moment. It should be mandating that every game around Australia has a GoPro camera. And they've been fantastic. Whenever they're in, we actually get real crystallisation of that down the ground and goal to goal. Just bizarre and, again, farcical circumstances.
The hat cameras do the trick as well. Just something. We don't see run-outs judged in cricket from mid-wicket.
What's the point of looking at 4 screens that give us no clarity as to a goal line decision, knowing it's going to come back to the umpire's decision? Why not just say inconclusive and get straight back?
Going to those screens only achieved wasting more time.
Yeah,
that was all it did.
That's the best goal umpire there is. She's on the spot for both of them. There's no need to have a pretend security blanket. It's just pretend. Ted Richards, the bump from the third term. These are in sharp focus at the moment. This is nothing like Franklin and Chapman. Don't tip into that. This is not a player with a ball who just got rid of it.
No, it is not, and that is the reason for me that if it does hit him in the head, and I think it does, I think that elbow to the head, I think this is reckless, and all of a sudden that puts it in the territory of absolutely him missing a week. Do we feel like he should miss a preliminary final because of this? Do we feel like it is an incident that should see him missing a massive game? Not really. But as soon as you try to pick off a player who doesn't have the ball, that becomes reckless, the very definition of. And that means that he misses next week and he misses an encounter with someone like Matthew Pavlich.
See, if we end up missing a week there, the reform, which is a very good reform, has just gone too far. Casbolt is fine.
Yeah, but that's the problem. They're all fine. Everyone has been hit's been fine, and they've all got weeks. It's ridiculous.
There's a rule in place, there is a standard in place which we're all in heated agreement with sellers, but there's a standard at the moment that if you want to keep it consistent, both these boys are in trouble.
The reform was intended that if you bumped and injured somebody, you were accountable for the injury.
Yep.
We have moved to the point where if you bump and make any sort of contact, we're not even talking about forceful contact anymore. The rule, that as it was applied, was forceful contact to the head.
If either of those, one gets a week and one gets off, where do we go then?
Right back where we are right now, sellers, not having a clue.
Well, we've got that already.
Yeah, correct.
And the last one was most unfortunate right at the end, with Jamieson being carted off the ground on the stretcher.
It certainly was. By all accounts, he seems to be in OK shape. We just think finally we got something right, that the medicos did exactly as they should in this situation, took all due care. We saw that Parker just slingshotted into him, and he very quickly was told by the medico to cross his arms across his chest, but he was talking, he was moving his legs and his arms and all those kind of things. So by the end of the show, we should be able to give you a tick off there, but no one feels like Jamieson is in a very bad place. Of course, we've seen some of those incidents in the VFL in the last few months. As I say, I think we all believe that he will be okay, as much as that was a bit of a scary moment for Michael Jamieson, and I'm sure his family watching on.
OK, Ralphie, we'll tidy up in the newsroom as more comes to hand. We're going to head off to the war room shortly and analyse how this all unfolded. The Swans lived their trademarks. They responded as they were challenged to do, both internally and externally, and they savour victory. They're heading to Perth for a prelim.
Yeah!